Добрий день,
Здравейте,
and welcome back to our little Bulgarian adventure.
and happy Bulgarian Independence Day.
Yes, it's one of the most significant events in recent history in Bulgaria. In 1908 they declared their independence as a Bulgarian state, and it's celebrated throughout Bulgaria today.
It is, so happy Independence Day. Well, what a week we've had.
Yes, we started the week with torrential weather, and the worst rain I think we've had since we've been in Bulgaria.
Oh yes. We had rain coming through bits of the roof.
Yeah, we were running around with buckets trying to work out where it was coming from.
But it was very dramatic at the time. We had thunder, we had lightning, we had 45 minutes to an hour of torrential rain. It was the heaviest rain I've seen for a very long time.
Yeah.
The following morning, you wouldn't know.
No.
Everything was dried up, well, apart from the dog compound.
Yes, that was still a bit muddy. That is the lowest point on our land.
It is, yeah.
So, yeah, it was an exciting couple of hours where we panicked a little bit about just how much rain we had coming in, but then realised that there was probably, short of totally taking off our roof and replacing it, we were never going to stop that level of water coming through.
No, and certainly at the time there was nothing we could do, so...
Yeah.
Yes, well, there were various plans going ahead about, well, we could take the roof off, we could do this and do that, but it's once in 3 years, I think we can live with.
And also, it has inspired us to get on and do the little... You hadn't done your annual roof inspection this year,
no,
so we've now put that on the schedule for this week.
Roof inspection and chimney sweeping.
Yeah.
So, while I'm up there.
And gutter clearing. Yeah. All the normal autumn jobs.
All the normal stuff, yeah.
So, as promised, we've also got our Q&A session today.
Yes, it's episode 150. Well.
Yeah, who'd have thought we'd have made it that long?
Absolutely. And we've had various questions come in. Thank you very much if you sent a question in. We'll try our best to answer them. As best we can. So, what are we starting with?
We can start off with the questions that were sent in by Carrie and May. What did we do for work back in the UK? And do we miss it?
Well, the second bit's easy. No. But what did you do?
For most of my work life, I think I worked in admin and office work, but then I did retrain in my early 40s and went back to university, did my social work degree, and then worked as a social worker for a few years. Got quite disillusioned with that in the UK. I think resources disappeared quite quickly during the 2000s.
Yeah.
Made it very difficult to do anything constructive to help people who were struggling. So yeah, I think that was my background pretty much, that and raising 5 children.
Yes. Well, I supported Lynn while she raised 5 children by clapping from the sidelines and cheering her on. Joined in a bit as well.
You did. He was the fun one.
I was the fun one. Still am. What did I do? I've done lots of different things, but most recently I was a computer engineer for a very big, well-known company that I can't mention. But yes, I used to go around and fix people's computers.
Yeah, I think you started out as a photographer, didn't you?
Yes.
So over the years we've evolved.
We've done all sorts. That's a whole different video in itself.
But yes, we don't miss the work, do we?
No, definitely not.
Which part of the UK did we live in? Asked Carrie.
Well, when we first got together, we lived in Luton, and we lived there for quite a long time.
Yeah, 18 years or
something like that. Then we moved up to West Lancashire.
Yeah, we were there for another 10 or so years.
Yeah. And then we moved to Bulgaria.
Do we plan on going back to visit family and friends?
Well,
or is it hard living away from them?
Do we plan to go back first of all? Lynn is actually going back in a couple of weeks' time. Doing some sorting out of stuff we've still got over there, visiting the family, visiting the grandchildren. And then a couple of weeks after that, I'm going back for a bit. So, yes, we are planning on going back and going back. Do we miss the family?
Yeah, of course we miss the family. But it's not the wrench we thought it would be.
No.
Technologies like FaceTime, Messenger enable us to have quite close links still.
Oh yeah.
So we still get to see our grandchildren growing up. We still get to talk, for your mum, we get to chat to her every week.
Yeah.
She often says to us, she speaks to us more now we're in Bulgaria than when we were in the UK, which is probably true, because you do make more of an effort.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, you miss the physical contact, I think.
Yeah.
And you miss the whole weekend thing that used to go and spend time together. Whereas now we're sort of more down to our telephone conversations or FaceTimes or chatting.
Yeah.
But there's so many ways you can keep in contact now that it's nowhere near as traumatic as I think it would have been 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Or as difficult. It's much easier.
So, yeah. So the answer is kind of yes, but not as bad as it could have been.
Yes. we do feel, I mean, coming out, our first year and a half, 2 years out here was COVID.
Yes.
So I think we missed nothing in those 2 years because we weren't, our family live all over the UK, so we weren't really allowed to travel to see them or to go and see them, so we didn't miss anything that year and a half.
No.
But we did miss we did, I think, plan on going back more regularly when we first came up with the idea, because flights out here were fairly cheap at that point. You could go back 2 or 3 times a year, maybe catch up with people, and we didn't do that.
No.
And that was, say, in part down to COVID and travel restrictions the first year. And then you kind of settle in and you don't really realise.
Suddenly you're in a routine of sorts.
And this will be my first major visit back in 3 years. And probably yours too.
Yes, it will be.
We have done the odd weekend. One weekend, when our son came over from Australia to meet up with him in the UK with his siblings.
Yeah, we've done the rushing back to pick Max up and get.
But they were very short visits. They were literally in and out of the country in 24, 48 hours.
Yeah, they don't really count.
No, so. They weren't proper visits.
No. Right, what's next?
The next one is from Miriam. Did we have pets in the UK? If so, who is caring for them?
We have had pets over the years.
Yeah.
We've had cats and dogs. In fact, they're our current dogs now. But in the 18 months, 2 years before we left, at least, we didn't have any pets.
No, they passed on, haven't they? So
yeah, and we hadn't got round to getting new ones, I suppose. But when we came out here, we had plans to get pets.
Yes, we fully intended getting at least one dog.
Yeah.
And
one cat.
One cat. Did we intend getting 6 dogs and 6 cats?
It wasn't part of the plan. We thought when Soph turned up it was ideal because there she was on her own, a dog just wandered into the garden. We thought excellent.
Yeah.
And then she brought the 2 pups and that was okay. Yeah, well, okay, we can go to 3. When she had 8 puppies a bit later on, that was a bit much. Yeah. 11 would have been too many.
Yeah, we couldn't have coped with it.
But as you know, we're currently standing at 6 dogs, 4 our cats and 2 not our cats. So yeah, that'll do.
And we have had them all neutered and sorted out, so we should hopefully not end up with.
We shouldn't have any more. Although Miriam, she has got an eye on a donkey.
Yes, I really like donkeys. I agree with you, Miriam. They're lovely creatures. But Adam can't see it yet.
I haven't been convinced. No.
But if one were to turn up on our doorstep, I don't think he'd turn it away.
It'll happen now. Welcome to and we got a new visitor. It's a donkey. Yeah, it's not happening. No.
Our next question comes from Anne. And what experience in DIY did you have in the UK?
Limited, I think, is the best term. Having said that, I had built a kitchen from scratch rather than building the carcasses like I did here. But that was only out of hardboard and chipboard and MDF and plywood and things like that. That was, Lynn liked it, she designed it, I just didn't build it.
But yes, you've not, over the years, been a big DIY
No,
person.
It was only
mainly because you hadn't had time, I think. We were always busy working, so when we had things done, we used to get somebody in to do them because we just didn't have time to look into it and do it ourselves.
But as I got a bit more time, a bit more confidence in doing it, part of the job of fixing computers, having to take things apart and put them back together again, kind of taught me that these things are all doable. And then of course YouTube tells you how to do it, sometimes how not to do it. But yeah, so the confidence grew a bit there, but I didn't do anywhere near what I do out here.
No. I think your interest is also sparked by your love of tools and gadgets.
I do like to collect tools, yes. And if you've got them, you have to use them, otherwise you get into trouble.
Yeah. So yeah, we had very little really, I would have said.
Yeah.
But we had the time here to explore
And learn.
which is part of one of the reasons we came out here.
So part of the reason why our renovation is going reasonably slowly is me learning as I'm doing it.
Yes.
The other part is I don't work very hard.
So Kath Thomas has asked us, why Bulgaria and what is it that appealed to you?
Well, the very first thing that appealed to us was the cost.
Yeah, we have to be completely honest, we didn't have huge funds to come out here. We did have some that we'd saved, and we were very much constrained by what was happening with Brexit and having to do it in a hurry, and we kind of thought about the idea for a while, hadn't we?
Well, we've been kicking two ideas about. Yeah. One was coming and doing this in Bulgaria. The other was to go on a canal boat. Yeah. I'll try that again. Go on a canal boat. And they kind of flip-flop between the two for a while. But in the end, we could afford to do this.
Yeah. And also, we kind of knew Max was going to be with us for the foreseeable future. So he was a big part in us coming out here. Yes. He finds situations where there's lots of people and lots of noise, and the city-town life is
overwhelming.
Can be quite overwhelming for Max at times, whereas coming out here, it's peaceful, it's quiet. He will tell you he loves not hearing motorbikes and not hearing traffic. He loves that. And
people in the street going, "It's not worth it, Terry, don't do it." So, yeah, he didn't like any of that.
No, he didn't. Extraneous external noise used to worry him, upset him. Whereas here, he can cope with the sheep. He likes the sheep, but even the dogs when they go...
Yeah, dogs bark a bit, but he can put up with that.
Yeah. They're all noises he understands and understands the reasons for them, so he's quite happy here.
But yes, once we found out the cost implications of coming here, then we looked into it and we saw, you could do pretty much what you like on a budget you could afford. So then the real search started.
Yes, we did. It was a very quick decision for us. After many years of deciding what we were going to do as we got older and looked at retirement. We did also. Hello, Kat. You decided to join us, have you?
Go on.
We did look at some other countries, but Bulgaria by far offered the prices that we could look at and afford and the land that we wanted to buy.
Yeah.
So yeah, Bulgaria, I would say the biggest reason was price.
Yes.
The second biggest reason was it was fairly easy to get to, albeit take COVID out of the equation, which caused us a few issues that first year. But it was easy to get over here. It was easy to come and have a look. There were already a fair number of people, British people, that had done it, that had written quite a lot of information about it online in vlogs and.
Well, I think that's true of most places, but we were obviously looking for Bulgaria. So.
Yeah. So that's what appealed to us about it. And also from what we could see on the thing, we thought, well, that looks like a beautiful country. Yeah. Let's go and have a look. And we have to say we were totally impressed. The first time we came over here, we were blown away by how beautiful Bulgaria is.
Yeah.
And that's our main reason for choosing to live here.
Bulgaria.
How many properties did you view prior to buying, and did we look into other areas of BG? We did look at a few properties, probably 15-ish.
Yeah.
Not all of them
suitable,
no. But there is a wide range of property available here, from complete, almost just ruins, to fully done up properties. So
there's quite a wide band of the word in need of renovation.
Yes, in need of renovation doesn't mean quite the same as it does in the UK, I think.
No. For renovation on something, you can just put knocking down and building again.
Yeah.
But
a lot that are easily renovatable as well.
Yeah.
I think.
But for the amount you're paying for it, you expect to do a bit of work.
Yes. Yeah. You don't expect to find somewhere that's done up and has everything.
But yes, areas we looked at, we had we decided on what kind of decided what areas to look in was the estate agents we found.
Yeah, I mean, looking again, we did quite a bit of research online,
Mm.
and we found people that had good recommendations that had been used before that
Yeah.
that we could communicate with in English, and that made a big difference for us.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Because we didn't speak Bulgarian,
Still don't
and
really.
still don't properly.
Yeah.
So that dictated some of the areas we looked in.
Mm.
Time also dictated areas.
Yes.
We had initially wanted to look down south, but because we literally had 10 days to come and have a look and
Yeah.
see what we could find and see if it suited us, I think
Come back.
we thought that we'd rather than run all over Bulgaria, we'll concentrate on 2 or 3 areas and have a look there. So we looked really around VT, around Varna,
Popovo.
and we ruled out the south.
Our main area was kind of between VT and Popovo because of estate agents and things. We ruled out the south because of heat more than anything in the summer.
Heat, and it was a bit more expensive.
It was a bit more expensive, yes.
And also, so we're amazed by the heat we get here, never mind.
Oh yeah.
We're pretty sure we wouldn't have coped at all well with it 5 or 10 degrees hotter, which is what the southeast can be. So.
But we did find properties online that we thought that's a definite possibility, and we saw most of the ones we'd found online. But this one, I think the woodland was what swung it, certainly Berlin.
Yeah.
And I mean, well, you've seen the land we have, so that's what made our choice for this particular property.
Yeah, I think by the end of the week, the first week here, we'd narrowed it down to 2.
Yeah.
And this was the one we came back to look at again.
Yeah.
And it just felt right. I think it's just one of those things you
And
just
it
get
still
there.
does.
And it still does. Yeah, we still think we bought a property where we're quite happy, aren't we?
Oh, definitely. Behave.
So we were looking for specific things
Mm-hmm.
when we were looking for a property. We were looking for somewhere that had a town not too far away where we could get supplies and where we could do stuff. We were looking for a flattish land. We were also looking for something that had good transport links in case we didn't ever ended up not having a transport of our own, or not being able to. Or not being able to drive.
Yeah.
Because we are getting older, so we wanted something that, and we didn't want to be too far away from an airport.
No.
Because we were thinking we would go backwards and forwards a lot more. That would be less of a consideration, I think, if we were looking now.
Yes.
I think we've decided that that wasn't quite as an important factor as we thought.
No.
But that's for us. I think it's different for different people. So, yeah, we had quite a long list, and we did tick most of those boxes.
Yes. Now, we spoke to Max. He'd like to live nearer the coast. By nearer, I think within about 2 miles of it.
Yeah, he really likes the sea, but he doesn't want to live in Varna or...
No, he wants to be
he
as isolated as we are here, but on the coast. Yeah. So, maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe one day.
We'll see.
I think he's quite happy here too.
I think so.
He never complains about the lack of noise or the lack of entertainment, really. He thinks it's all quite...
He makes his own entertainment for his own online friends. His social life hasn't changed. So.
No.
What's next?
Is there a second-hand market in Bulgaria? For example, if somebody wanted to buy second-hand goods.
Who's that from?
That's from Catherine.
Well, kind of.
Yeah. There is a second-hand market. It's mainly online in terms of trying to find stuff outside in your area. If you're looking for big items like a washing machine.
Yeah. Clothes, there's lots of second-hand clothes stores.
Yeah, and they're in the towns and cities. There are also some stores around, but there's very little online about those.
Yeah.
That would be local knowledge, so that you'd find that out by speaking to people in your local area. But Bulgarians, in terms of eBay and that kind of thing, it's nothing like the UK.
No.
There's far less or second-hand furniture.
No. We haven't had an auction house.
There's no auctions. There's nothing like that. There's that we found.
Doesn't mean they're not here.
Yeah.
Although we probably struggle in a Bulgarian auction anyway. So.
They do have markets that sell second-hand goods, and again, that's local to where you are. We did a video, I think, on Dulinica market.
Back at the beginning of April.
Yeah, and that's a huge market in the air. Well, it's probably in about half hour from us. But that does second-hand goods as well as fresh fruit and vegetables. And most towns and cities will have a market one day a week where people do
on
sell
Friday. It's
second-hand
second-hand
goods that you can go and buy. But it's local. It took us a long time to find those, and so you do get quite a few on the groups on Facebook or on ALO. Is it OLX? OLX online. They have a website, but it's very small compared to.
Yes, it's not the same scale. You can get stuff. We've also found there's probably bigger markets in the cities than there are outside of the cities.
Yeah.
In the little towns and villages.
Certainly for second-hand.
You're probably not going to find too much.
Yeah, I think Bulgarians just don't throw things away. They just use them, and
most
houses are sold furnished.
Yeah, so most people get their second-hand stuff by buying a house.
Yes, that seems to be where it comes from. Alison would like to know how our garden is doing and how we're irrigating our land.
That's over to you. You're the gardener.
The garden is being managed slowly at the moment. We haven't got to grips with it totally. The animals paid to the first 2 years we were here in terms of the dogs stopped us doing quite a lot of work in the garden. We've planted quite a few fruit trees, we've done some raised beds, we grow a few vegetables, but we hope to get more to grips with that next year. Yes. All our irrigation at the moment we've done by hand, but we will be putting systems in next year.
Yes.
So
we have found it does make a huge difference.
A huge difference. We have very long dry summers here, so having regular water, and we also plan when we're doing the upgrades to the roof next year in putting in water collection systems, which we will then feed into an irrigation system. But because we haven't had
gutters and barrels.
Because we haven't had that in place this year, we've done everything by hand. Yeah. So and just watered the bits we needed to. Yeah.
So it will. It's a work in progress.
Yeah. There'll be a lot more on that next year.
There will. Okay.
Have we had a chance to see where you can source ingredients like hops and malts in Bulgaria for your brewing?
Kind of, yes. I found a few places online. The range doesn't seem to be quite as extensive as I could get in the UK.
But it is here.
It is here. I've only looked online. So there may be places that I haven't looked. I know in most of the big DIY stores and things, you can get some supplies. Yeah.
Certainly for wine making, it's much bigger here, but for beer
and cider as well.
Not quite so easy.
For beer, there's an online site called True Beer where you can get various hops. You can get the hops, you can get the malts. I will be researching this once I launch back into my hobby a bit further. That's a whole new video. Could be a whole series. Watch this space.
And Miriam has asked, what will the basement be for when it's all done?
Interesting question. You should ask that. Interesting question. I know what I mean. Make that into a sentence. We've got a video here to show you. After a few weeks of work, we've got to the point now where we've filled up our cellar. I'll give you a quick tour around to show you exactly what we're doing, what goes where, and what's going to be happening in various areas. As we previously mentioned, here in the cellar, just by the cellar steps, we've got one workbench which we've put our mini oven on. It's also got the pots and pans underneath it, and the freezer next to it. So all of that in that corner works pretty well. We've also hung the cast iron pots and pans up above it so that we've got those handy for cooking. That's partly because they look good up there, and partly because we weren't quite sure where to put them in the kitchen. So this made a perfect compromise where we could use them in both areas, on the petrika or on this little oven. Now at this end of the room, on Lynn's racking, we have the spare food along with the chutneys and the jam and all the kind of kitchen equipment, the sandwich toasters, the sous vide machine, other pots and pans, the dehumidifier, all the sort of tools and things that we need for the kitchen, all within easy reach. The far end, which is my side of the cellar, you can see I've got my brewing equipment, I've got the stuff I use for distilling, I've got kegs, buckets, filters, ingredients, all those sort of things on my shelf, now within easy reach so I can use them when I come to restart brewing. There's also my various bits of equipment, the fermenters, the boilers, all the stuff I need, the bottle tree, all the things I need for my brewing hobbies. And in this final corner on this bench is my hobby stuff, well, more of my hobby stuff. We've got the soda oven, we've got the still, we've got all my barbecue equipment, and underneath the black plastic bag is my bacon slicer. So anything we need for me to make my food or my drink is all down here in the cellar, all within easy access so that we can use it whenever we want to. So there it is, that's the cellar, complete, a usable room, and no longer a dark, uninviting place that it used to be. So that's the basement. It's turned out better than we thought.
Yes, I think we always envisaged it as a storeroom, but we were actually using it a lot more.
Yes.
And it's quite a nice place to be.
Yes, in the summer it's cool. Hopefully in the winter it's a little bit warmer, although we've got the Petzker in the kitchen, that'll help. But yes, it's turned into a nice room.
Yeah, we both like it. We're both quite impressed with how it turned out. So we just thought it would be a big store cupboard, but it's going to be a lot more than that, I think.
I think so.
It has potential.
Yeah.
So back to our questions. What's the biggest positive surprise about your life in Bulgaria?
Oof, that's a good question. I think it's probably learning new stuff and adapting.
Yes, I would say definitely for you. I'm amazed how well you've adapted here. Adam's quite set in his ways in some things. He likes to do.
You wouldn't think it, would you?
No. But you have adapted, and we both have, I think, adapted very easily to living without some of the things we thought would be difficult, especially in the early months. We virtually did camp for 6 months.
We did, yeah.
And we adapted quite easily to that. It's amazing what you can do without when you don't actually have it.
And our tolerance to bugs and creepy crawlers.
Yes, that's increased tenfold.
Absolutely. We no longer go screaming for the hills. We can deal with them.
So there's been many positives.
Definitely.
So the quality of food here, fresh fruit and vegetables, and I think just adapting to our lifestyle here has been joyful.
I'd say, although we're not active, we're more active than we used to be in the UK.
Definitely.
So that's a good thing.
Our biggest disappointment since moving to Bulgaria?
Well, for me, that's my inability to learn Bulgarian properly.
Yes, that's definitely our biggest disappointment is us.
Yeah.
In terms of
it is, yes.
We really haven't got to grip. I mean, we've been to lessons and we do learn things, and we do. I think we know.
We know more than we think we know.
Yes, but we're still very frustrating not to be fluent.
No, we don't practice enough with Bulgarian speakers.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
And we do need to get out and do more of that. Yes. And we keep saying that, and we will do.
And the only people who stop us is us. So we have to be the biggest disappointment.
Yeah, our inability to come to full grips with the language.
Yes.
Here. If we could change one thing about the whole experience, what would it be? That again for me goes back to language. It would be I would have learnt, if we'd have planned it a little bit better, I would have taken proper time to learn the language, the basics before I came out here. So I started off a little bit more confident.
Yes, it would have been a kind of a step in the right direction. But yes, that's probably it.
How different was Bulgaria and its people been to the image that we might have had before we went?
That's an interesting one in that we didn't really have an image of what the people. I mean, you get the stereotypes of miserable Slavic people with serious stony faces who. Nothing
like that.
Nothing could be further from the truth, in fairness. But I don't think we really bought into that to start with.
No, I don't think we did.
But it's how well we've been welcomed when we did the work in the park and that sort of thing, and when we go to the town centre and people make a point of coming across and talking to us. And,
always.
And it's lovely. It's a really friendly, and we've got our neighbours, Mr. and Mrs. Smiley. Who we haven't really spoken to, but every time we see them we wave and we smile, it's just lovely. It's a really, really kind of positive thing. So yes, I would say that people are a lot friendlier, a lot more welcoming than you might imagine coming from the UK, where people don't talk to you that much.
Yes, I think you forget. We have forgotten just how unfriendly the UK can be.
Can be, yes.
If you move to a new area in the UK, it'll take you a long time to integrate into any community.
Oh, yeah.
I think. Whereas, if you ever do, here, people tend to be far more insular. There, here, people are curious about you.
Yeah.
They want to know about you.
And as we say, the biggest barrier is language, but you don't have that barrier in the UK, and yet still it's a struggle.
Yes.
Here, we have some good friends, good Bulgarian friends who, we're quite happy to sit down and chat with. Luckily, they speak English, which means we can. But we've not had any problem with the people.
No.
You can't knock them.
And I think for me as well, the amount of culture they have here.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The history they have. I'd never realised just how far back. That sounds stupid to say you don't realise how far back history's gone in Bulgaria, because it's obviously the same everywhere. But it's very rich and very varied. And when you start reading into the history and the traditions and the culture and how they're respected by the Bulgarian people and kept alive, that I find really refreshing and just lovely.
Oh, absolutely. It seems every weekend there's something happening.
Yeah.
In one of the villages, or there's a festival somewhere, and the singing ladies of Makaria Polska, well, they go everywhere.
They do, and they're lovely.
Yeah. So, you've seen them in the videos. But yes, there's always something going on, and the culture is celebrated.
Yeah. By all generations, by younger people, and their pride in their culture and it's lovely.
Yeah.
I really, it's not. It's a genuine pride in what they do.
Yes.
And you can see that, and I really like it. It's very different. It's not sort of jingoistic in any way at all. It's just, we're proud to be Bulgarian, and we're proud that we have this background. And it's not putting anybody else down. It's not looking down on anybody else. It's just about being proud of who they are. And I really like that. I think that's something that Bulgarians should be very proud of.
Definitely. We had one more question, which is...
more than one.
Well, yeah, true. But it's a far-reaching one, and it's about costs and expenses.
Yeah, for gas, electricity, renting, insurance, medication, all that.
There's a lot to go into there, so what we'll do is we'll do it next video.
Yes, we feel we've done quite a lot of chatting you've had to put up with this week from us.
Yeah, sorry.
But yes, we'll cover. So we will answer that question, but we'll do it in another video because it's a bit more all-encompassing, and it means different things to different people.
It does.
So
yes, thank you all very much for the questions we got.
Thank you all very much for staying with us and watching through our 150 episodes.
Yes, and all 3 hours of this episode or whatever it's been. But if you have any more questions, feel free to ask. I will answer the stuff in the comments. When we get to episode 300, maybe we'll do another Q&A. Who knows?
Yes.
Something to look forward to. So that's probably about it from us for this week, with all the questions and the cellar video. So that just leaves us to say...
Stay safe.
Be well.
Do skoro.
Do skoro.